So London is facing a severe housing supply crisis in 2026. Despite strong demand, new new home building has really collapsed in London itself. So in today's presentation, I'm going to explain why London isn't building enough homes and what it means for investors, landlords and renters across the whole of London. So let's get into it. Craig Parker here from Parker's Property Sourcing, just coming at you with another video today. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the housing crisis that I can see happening before us in London itself. Used to be the prime, location to be investing in, and now not so much. So, in today's video, just going to give my outlook, my take on things, and how the housing market looks currently in London. Open for comments, open for you guys' views as well. So, you can put your comments down below if you choose to, if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So London needs tens and thousands of new homes each year. Actual housing starts are a fraction of the required targets right now. Yeah, when you think about the population in London and the amount of houses that are being built and how much people are, more people are coming into London, the difference is massive at the moment. The gap between supply and demand is structural and it's not temporary, So we got to really think about these things when we're looking at investment areas. Is this area going to be sustainable? Is there enough supply in the area? And what I found is one of the biggest reasons why new homes aren't being built as fast as they need to be built in London is the planning delays are really slowing down development at the moment. Another one is build costs. They've risen so sharply due to labour and materials. So, that has a massive impact on, how things are being built and how quick properties are being built in London at the moment. And then lastly, I would say also political pressure and uncertainty have stalled the larger schemes. So you see, when you're driving in London now, you see a lot of these, see all these cranes in the skies, and a lot of prep for building works. But on a lot of these sites, not much is going on at the moment, and these are some of the reasons why, And to me, that's a bit of a crisis. Jobs that are being started but halted and not finished in time and things like that. It's a little bit of an issue, I think, and it's a red flag, and it's something for us as investors we need to be looking out for. We need to be working out, is London still the better place to be investing your money? So when we talk about the impacts on the rents in London, simple really. When supply falls and demand stays strong, what happens to the rent? It goes up. You just see these things happening historically, but as the time goes on and you keep seeing it over and over again, it starts to make so much sense to you. Supply falls, demand stays strong because it's London, rents just go crazy. So London is going to continue to experience the intense rental competition that there's always been from ever since I've known anyway. And what it does is it keeps upward pressure on rents despite wider market slowdowns, So, the rent in London right now for, a studio flat, the numbers, some parts of London, the numbers are crazy. And then for house prices themselves, the lack of supply puts a floor on the prices, So even when demand weakens in London, prices don't really collapse. So something to bear in mind as well. If you want to get into London, it's going to be, it's not hard, it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible, but prices in London aren't really going to collapse, even when that demand is not as strong. Prices just historically just don't collapse in London. Affordability caps growth, I would say. So if you think about trying to invest in London or just buy out your first home in London, very, very hard to afford. That really does cap the growth because there's not a lot of people competing. But then undersupply, it really prevents the sharp falls, which gives you a nice stability of what the prices are in the UK or in London, basically. It gives you like a bit of it's a little bit like a flat line, I would say, a straight line. So I would say what this all means for investors is that the rental demand remains strong. Um, the return on investment yield strategies differ by borough and tenant type, that's for sure. You'll be very careful of that. You may not be getting good yields, good return on investments, but your capital growth might be, pretty good still. Professional investors, I would say, focus on fundamentals and not headlines. I don't focus or invest in London myself, but I always keep a close eye on it because I have properties on the outskirts of London, and what happens there usually happens in London usually has a ripple effect, which affects my properties that are on the outskirts. So risks and regulations. So what investors must watch, and this is simple really. The regulations, as we all know, continues to increase for landlords. It's not going anywhere. We just got to start to adapt. I would say a higher cost needs to be built into deals analysis now. So when we're looking at deals and we're working out our return on investments, we need to make sure we're factoring all the regulations and what we need to get the property up to scratch and up to regulations. And that needs to be all factored into our cost. And I would say long-term investors must plan conservatively, for sure. Really need to be conservative in our thinking when investing now. So, come to the end of the video. My final thoughts on this topic today would be London housing shortage isn't going anywhere. Supply constraints support rents and values long term, for sure. It really does support the rents because there's not much out there. So your rent's never going to drop in London and the outskirts because of the supply and the amount of people that want to be living in London. So something to consider. In my next video, I'm going to explore why prime London rentals are cooling down and cooling off. So in tomorrow's video, I'll be talking about that. But for today, really hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share your views. Tell me if you agree with me or you disagree with me. Tell me your thoughts on what we spoke about today. And I've been Craig Parker. Till next time.